Once again, I have to be the bearer of bad news, because the Josh Allen evolution will not be televised, because it will not happen. When Josh Allen came out in the draft, I had him as a late first round pick. There were positive traits, his big arm, his size, his mobility, and there were negative traits, his progressions, notably his progressions. His overextended stride step, his overtaxed throwing arm that led him away from being able to show adaptable mechanics. A quarterback's adaptable mechanics are their ability to throw in off-platform situations. And because Josh Allen uses his arm and his stride step for most of his torque instead of his hips and his wrist, he struggles in this area, specifically on the deep ball, and very badly when moving to his left. Now, despite all these positive and negative traits, it added up to a starter in the right circumstance, in my opinion. I gave him a quarterback grade of a 1-win quarterback, which is clearly a starter in the NFL. And I, as I said, had him in the late first round. But what if he evolves to get better? Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, it is extremely rare for a quarterback to actually evolve. And you hear it all the time. Pundits will tell you all the time, oh, he's evolving, he's getting better. And I think that's because of two different reasons. The first reason is that we forget the quarterbacks who don't. There are so many quarterbacks who come and go and fade into oblivion, but the ones who actually get better are burned into our psyche as fans, and the hope is within us that our quarterback is one of those guys. Now, most of the quarterbacks who actually did evolve had specific traits that allowed them to evolve. It wasn't an evolution in progressions. It wasn't a tempo of the game. It was something that was slightly wrong in their mechanics that was easily fixed. And Josh Allen is not in that category. The second reason is that they misuse the word evolve. They mean adjust, but they say evolve. Now, when you look at quarterbacks who come out of college, you see the physical traits and you see the mental traits. And the physical traits show up right away. Those just transition to the NFL, but the mental traits take a while. And when you see a quarterback coming from college, when they played at college at a level of mental traits, they'll come into the NFL below that level, and most often they will slowly work their way back to being where they were in college. They rarely jump to a higher level of operating in the pro game than they were capable of in the college. They have to adjust what is within them to the speed of the NFL. The physical traits, they show up immediately. And Josh Allen's strengths are physical, not mental. When Josh Allen was at Wyoming, they brought in Craig Bohl, the man who started the development on Carson Wentz, to polish him up and make him a pro-style quarterback. And in the first year, Craig Bohl did the right thing. He put him in positions where he could succeed, and he gave him limited progression reads so that he could struggle his way into adapting or improving that talent. And when he did that, Josh Allen was 2 steps behind on his progressions constantly. He would see windows, he would see wide receivers breaking open 2 steps late, and then he'd load up the cannon and he'd force the ball in, which would cost him accuracy and would put the ball in harm's way. So when he went into his junior year, he had a full off season to work on this, and Craig Bohl said, let's take the next step forward. We are going to run full field progressions. And that lasted 1 game. 1 game. And you saw that being bled out of the Wyoming offense very quickly. It became apparent to Bohl that Allen cannot run through progressions. Allen is a 1-read quarterback. He is a region read quarterback. So when he got to Buffalo, the first couple of games with his mental adjustment and them asking him to read, he absolutely struggled. There were sack numbers piling up. He froze when he saw the blitz, and it was a struggle until he got injured. But then something very interesting happened for Josh Allen. When he came back, Dabble changed the offense. No, it wasn't Josh Allen settling in and speeding up. Dabble realized that his quarterback can't run through progressions. So let's get creative, let's get simple, and let's give you a man beater on one side and a zone beater on the other. You pick the side you're going to pre-snap. You make your one read. If it's not there, check down or run. Let's preserve ourselves. Let's make this functional. And after that showed much better results, Dabble went in on that full force for the next year. And in year 2, that's where you saw the gains from Allen. Dabble had created a system that catered to his quarterback. It's a very intelligent thing to do, a very humble thing to do, and it shows the capabilities of Dabble. But that also means that Josh Allen is maxed out. Now, hope springs eternal. He's working with Jordan Palmer. And when I hear Jordan Palmer, I sit up in my seat. You should too. Anytime you hear Tom House or Jordan Palmer, those are the dudes. Those are the guys who can unlock what is within your quarterback, who understand adaptable mechanics, who understand the ways to make your quarterback better. Unfortunately, when I hear the name Jordan Palmer or Tom House, I also think about what is capable. If they shorten the stride and untax the arm on Josh Allen, they run the risk of turning him into Blake Bortles. Can't do that. Can't risk that. So the hips are always going to be tight. The adaptable mechanics are always going to have issues. What way could I help Josh Allen? Well, I would use or teach him to untax his arm specifically on the deep ball. If I can get him leading wide receivers instead of trying to gun them down, he will put more air under the ball. He will make it more accurate deep passes. And this could make him a little bit better. It's a good change to work on. And from the tape I've seen of him in camp, I would say that they're trying that to an extent. Obviously, I don't have enough footage to be certain of it, but it seems like he's doing a little bit more of a lower arm slot and an arm whip instead of just driving that ball in there. The second thing I would hope that they could work on, I didn't know. There was nothing. You can't just make a quarterback learn progressions. You saw this with Tannehill. You've seen this with Trubisky. When Tannehill played for Bill Lazor under Adam Gase, he had the regional reads built into the offense, and he was fine. And the more and more this offense went towards Adam Gase, the worse and worse Tannehill got. And then all of a sudden he shows up in Tennessee with Arthur Smith, who is a regional read quarterback, and he shined because that's what he can do. Mitchell Trubisky is being asked to read the field. That's not who he is. When Mitchell Trubisky came out of college, his reads were ahead of Josh Allen, and he still hasn't improved at all. He was less experienced than Josh Allen, and he still hasn't improved at all. Basically, when you are looking at a quarterback coming out of college, Dennis Green's infamous saying, "They are who we thought they were," is what you should go ahead with. So I found out that Josh Allen is working on something else with Jordan Palmer. And it comes from Josh Allen himself. Josh Allen stated that he is working with Jordan Palmer on getting his reads pre-snap on the right side of the field. That means he is making mistakes pre-snap on if he should take the man side or the zone side. He is picking the wrong side. He is entering his 3rd year into the NFL, and he still doesn't have his pre-snap reads down. The progressions aren't coming, folks. The evolution to a full field reader, the evolution to a quarterback who throws with elite level of adaptable mechanics, it's not in him. He is who you know him to be. And that's not going to change. What does this mean for Josh Allen? It means he is who he is. Is he a bad quarterback? No. He's a 1-win quarterback. If he improves his deep ball a little bit, then he's a 1-win quarterback with a slightly better deep ball. The good news for Buffalo is that your offensive coordinator is using your quarterback the right way. The bad news for Buffalo is that when you do something creatively simple, teams start to figure this out, and it's going to put stress on Dabble to find new ways to get the ball moving. And if you don't believe me about these progressions, please turn on Josh Allen's highlights. Watch him stare down the one wide receiver he's about to throw to. You might be lucky and catch one of the rare glimpses of him doing a head flick that may pause a DB for a millisecond just to gain some space, but he's staring down his target. And as teams realize that, they're going to close that off a little bit, and they're going to make this more difficult.